In episode 2, we'll be talking about what an escape room is and what to expect. Happy Wednesday to all of you listening. If you are a first-time listener, thank you so much for checking in. And if you are returning, thank you. It's good to see you again. All right. Well, not seeing you, but I guess, well, you're just listening to me. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it. First off, my name is Derek, aka Sugi, and this is the Mystery Ship Transmission Podcast. Today in episode 2, we'll be talking about what an escape room is and what you could encounter or expect in an escape room. I want to try to get through this a little bit short of about 15 minutes. I don't want to go too much further over that, so let's go ahead and get started. So first off, what is an escape room? It's a game. So you're going to be combining puzzles with a time limit and throw that into a Hollywood-style movie set, and boom, you have an escape room. Now, I have a little bit of very quick, very quick, brief history via Wikipedia of escape rooms. The first documented escape room was in Japan, 2007, by one Takao Kato. And as of 2015, there are 2,800 escape rooms worldwide. And one of the ways that it first came out was actually that it was inspired by the older computer games, which were considered click and point games, which usually it was a two-dimensional picture, and you would bring your mouse over certain parts of the room or whatever scenery that the game was, and you would point and click, and you would progress throughout the game by finding and searching and scavenging for certain stuff, which is a big part of what escape rooms are all about. Now, where escape rooms are located, I can give you, I'm not really sure about outside of California, but I can tell you in California where most escape rooms are actually located in. So most of them are located in strip malls and industrial parks around California, but you could also find them in warehouses or standalone business buildings. You know, the explanation for that, I've asked a few owners, and it just sounds very, it sounds very hard to explain to a person a landlord or someone who owns a business building, and trying to explain to them if they don't know what an escape room is. And from a liability standpoint, I'm sure there's a whole thing about it, but I'm not going to get into it. That's a whole nother thing. But that's really where you would find a lot of escape rooms in California. Now, how escape rooms break down the game, I have it here into 3 separate parts here. So breaking it down, first off, escape rooms start with a story. Every game, from Monopoly to Clue, there's a story. For a lot of escape rooms, there are a lot of cliche stories out there already. Mostly, if it's a horror themed, it's like a murder, serial killer. There's mad scientist. There's medieval knight, mobster. There, you name it. There's some kind of story involved with the game, and that story is actually much more important than just being there and being interesting, because it could actually help you understand what you are doing through the game and making sense of some of the puzzles that you may encounter in said game. Now, the second thing in an escape room is a task. So once you already have your story down, you understand what kind of world you're dealing with, you need to understand why you and your group is there and what you guys have to do. So in the beginning, escape rooms sounded pretty straightforward. You are there to get out of a room, escape. But obviously that kind of limits you when it comes to what kind of stories that you can come up with and what kind of atmosphere that you can create. So a lot of these escape room owners and creators, they didn't have just the task of escaping a room. Now they're actually building different, more abstract ideas on what you have to do in order to win the game. So, for instance, maybe you have to collect certain elements into a basket that are hidden around the room or several rooms, or it just depends. Stuff like that is definitely a little bit different than, say, you need to find the key to open the door to get out. So there we have two things, story and a task. Third thing is your time limit. Most escape rooms have the tradition of having an hour. But now a lot of escape rooms are changing it up a little bit. There's smaller escape rooms out there that could go for just a half hour or 45 minutes, which obviously if it's shorter, there's not going to be as many puzzles in there, or maybe there won't be as many difficult puzzles in the room or certain tasks. Or there's the hour and a half, 90-minute escape rooms. And those are usually ones that have one or two styles of puzzles, which would be either a ton of puzzles or a good handful of puzzles that take a lot of logical thinking, a lot of what I like to call time burners. So these would be things, if you've ever played an escape room or seen these kind of these riddles or puzzles where you have to figure out where somebody fits in a certain order by looking at a few sentences that tell you that the person you're looking for is wearing a red shirt, and you're looking at a picture, and the picture shows 5 people wearing red shirts. And you're like, okay, well, process of elimination. It's one of those 5 people. And then the next sentence says that the person you're looking for is standing next to someone wearing a watch. So you look at the picture to see stuff like that. That is what I consider time burners. And that's what you could find in hour-long escape rooms, but very, very popular for hour-and-a-half rooms. So those are the kind of the way I break down the different ways of doing an escape room for the game, how it breaks down: a story, a task, and a time. Now, what could you expect in an escape room, or what are the things that you're going to find yourself doing in an escape room? Well, if you've never done an escape room, they'll go through some safety stuff. They'll tell you what your story is, what your task is, and how much time you have. And then they'll walk you into, usually, into the room in which you're left with pretty much, most of the time, nothing. Some escape rooms I've done, they maybe start you off like, here's the puzzle, here's the first puzzle, go. But most escape rooms usually just throw you into the room and go, good luck, and your time starts now. And you are left with the number one thing to do in an escape room, which is going to be scavenge. You need to look for the first puzzle or a clue in order to progress in through the game. And I know that sounds kind of scary, but that is part of the fun part of escape rooms, is that you're not really sure where to start, and as you do more escape rooms, it'll be more obvious. But you take in the surroundings, you basically do what you did when you were a kid, is that you looked in every little nook and cranny and you look for certain things. Now, what are those certain things that you are looking for? You're going to be wanting to look for locks, and they're not all going to be the same kind of locks. You're going to be looking for key locks. You're going to be looking for number combination locks. You're going to be looking for directional locks. Anything that looks like it could be opened or that is holding something is probably going to be important to the game. The other things that you may find are also hidden compartments. Now, there might be certain things that trigger certain things to open in the room, which is very fun, very exciting because it's hidden. You had no idea it was going to be there. That also includes secret passageways. Now, it's exciting to sound like, oh my gosh, escape room. You think, oh, it's just one room. You're stuck in one room. Some escape rooms do incorporate several different rooms, but that is not to say that all escape rooms do that, because I have done a few escape rooms where it is just in that one singular room and that's it. And it's not to say that escape room isn't good if it doesn't have other compartments, but I will say that it tends to be very, very exciting when you pop open or you slide over a book cabinet or something and you're like, oh my gosh, there's another room. That is exciting. So those are some of the things that you may find when you're inside of an escape room. And the other thing that you will have to do inside of an escape room, and that is expected, is you're going to have to solve puzzles. You're going to have to find missing keys. You're going to have to, these are some things you may deal with. You may have to find ciphers. You may have to kind of reference a chart or find a chart in order to read some kind of secret language. You may have to move objects. Usually not furniture. Furniture usually isn't something that you have to move. Nothing of heavy lifting is usually incorporated unless they tell you otherwise before the game. But I'm talking about maybe like a small totem or like a jar or a can or something like that. Those would be some of the more common things. And those moving objects you would need to place maybe in certain orders or certain ways. So a lot of the technology that's being incorporated is sensors built into certain objects, which could open up and trigger secret passages or open up doorways or cabinets. Those are some of the things that you may encounter doing an escape room. Now, in the end of the day, you're doing all this stuff, you're going to say, do you win anything? And to answer that, some places do. Some places reward you with certain things for escaping their rooms. Some places tend to take pictures and put you up on maybe like a wall of fame. Others may, I've seen where they give you discount vouchers for other local businesses around the area. So maybe like a comedy store or like a free pizza or discount off a craft beer at a microbrewery or something like that. There's even small trinkets. I've had places where they give you wristbands for doing specific certain rooms. Another one that they do is they do side puzzles in some rooms. These are puzzles that have nothing to do with the main game, but if you solve that side puzzle during the game before your time is over, there may be some kind of prize at the end for taking the time to do that extra side puzzle. So those are some physical things that you can win, but let's really briefly talk about some of the other things you can win from doing an escape room. And I know we're getting close on time, but here we go. So one thing that you could win from doing an escape room, or the things you get from an escape room, is it's a bonding experience. For families, it's a great way to work together and do something different and fun. It's kind of like taking board games to another level, which is fun and interesting. It's also been a very popular thing for corporate team buildings. Did I say that right? Corporate team building. Very, very popular now. Some people aren't really super into the whole story and things of it, but for the most part, I've heard nothing but good feedback from it. So definitely another thing. Another thing is that it's a stress relief. They actually say that in Japan, escape rooms did very well because it helped stressed out students and young professionals kind of step out just for a quick second to do something kind of fun, entertaining, low impact. And I believe in that. I believe that it definitely does take you into a different state than maybe the state of having a difficult day at work or stressing out on something, just taking a little bit of time. Everybody has and needs something to kind of get themselves out of that state, and this is one way to do it. And the other is the challenge. Sometimes that is what we need in life, is just a challenge. Nothing is more boring than the mundane, the grind, the usual pattern of things. Sometimes it's okay just to change it up a little bit, and just challenge yourself, and feel something different. Whether it's winning or failing, it's learning. It's doing something that will help you grow. And I think that escape rooms definitely do that. Any sport or any kind of game, there's something to learn from it. So, and that it pretty much wraps it up for today's segment on what an escape room is and what to expect in an escape room. I hope this helped you out at least a little bit. I know we moved a little fast and we're definitely over 15 minutes, but it's okay. Want to give you a quick preview on the next podcast. Our next transmission is going to actually be an escape room review. We're going to be reviewing my favorite escape room so far, which is going to be Magic Kingdom by Maze Rooms Los Angeles. So definitely tune in next Wednesday for that. And I guess that'll wrap it up. So thank you so much, you guys, for listening. And until next time, from the Mystery Ship, challenge yourself, have fun, and escape well.